All right, guys, welcome back. I'm sorry it has been so long since I did a video. It's just the same thing as before that I just have a lot on my plate, but I've been getting messages from people asking if I'm okay. So thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm going to try to do a handful to get out over the next week or two so that you'll have some, a little bit more consistently. I've been trying to put it in my calendar as in like, this is the day that I do Walking Dead videos, and so that I'm getting to it more consistently, but yeah, that hasn't worked so far, so I'm hoping I can integrate it a little bit better. Anyway, so here's the thing. We're going to do YouTube comments like we always do, and then there are some asks in my inbox. But after that, me and my fellow theorists, Gladriel Jones and W.D. Way, we have been doing some deep dives. So even though I haven't been doing videos as much the last few weeks, I have a lot that I have found. We've been doing some rewatches, and there's just a lot of things that I'm excited to share with you, and it's the perfect time to share them during the off season when we don't actually have episodes to analyze. So, probably this first video will be the comments and the asks, and then after that, I'll get into what I found in rewatches after that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and dive in. Hopefully I'm not the only person who misunderstood, but the title of the video sent me into a panic. Oh no. I thought some bad news came out that meant TD was over. I need a nap after that. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to do that to you. Yeah, you guys, you don't even have to pay that close of attention to the titles. I've been using AI to try and optimize my titles, and the things that AI wants me to use to optimize for, sometimes they feel like they're just not terribly specific. And so yeah, don't worry too much about the titles. Just know that those are optimized for the algorithm and not as much for us TDers, because I know that my audience, you guys who've been with me for a while, you're gonna watch the videos one way or the other. So the titles are more to draw in people who maybe um, aren't as familiar with us. So anyway, I do apologize for giving you a heart attack. I did not mean to do that, and I hope you're okay. All right. Next one. I've always leaned towards Shepard as being the one who pulled the trigger, probably more to take out Dawn than because she had anything against Beth specifically. She seemed to be stepping up to take charge for Grady, and the other cops let her, possibly because the flavor of mutiny had been something they had all discussed before. And if you factor in her last name as being any kind of symbolic, plus we got to know her a bit more than the other background cops during Team Family's time in Atlanta, she immediately rolls towards whatever benefits her best. See when Officer Bob dies and she's instantly on board with lying to Grady that Walker's got him, etc., of saying that he gets home safe. Yeah, no, I agree. And actually, I haven't gotten to, so I said I was rewatching. I've done all of season four and I've started season five, but I think I only got to, I think I'm on Strangers. So I haven't rewatched Slabtown or Coda yet, and I know that Gladriel Jones did, and she may have some posts that she's going to put up. But I remember her telling me that Shepard seemed a lot more intense rewatching it this time than she remembered before. So yeah, I think you're onto something there, and you make a good point that she's instantly on board with lying about how Lamson died. I hadn't really thought of it that way before, and especially with the symbolism with the names. I mean, Lamson sounds like lamb, and he was kind of sacrificed by Rick. And you wouldn't think someone who is a symbolic shepherd would be okay with lying about that, but she was. So there's probably something going on there symbolically that we haven't entirely put our finger on. But yeah, it does seem like she saw it almost as an opportunity. And I don't know, because she was just being traded. And I mean, maybe it was an opportunity. She was mostly thinking about, yeah, we'll lie so that you don't kill us, kind of a thing. And I mean, of course, that was the obvious thing that they wanted us to think in Coda, but we know that there's a lot going on that we're not seeing or we're not understanding. So I'll have to think about that more, but that's a really good point. So thank you for that. Okay, Gala Jones says, I've got to correct myself here as I got David Boyd mixed up with the actual DC credited writer Justin Boyd. Justin Boyd does have some involvement in TWDU as a writer on Fear season 7 through 8, but David Boyd has nothing to do with DC. Just wanted to clarify. Okay, thank you for that. That just has to do with one of the things that were in this video. I mean, if she really is, I read that wrong. I mean, if she is really going to be in France for the summer, I can say with confidence that no doubt in my mind that Beth is alive, because why else would she be there? Unless she will be a ghost following them around. Since France is a filming location for Dead City, do we think season 3 will take longer now? I'm thinking rumors might be right about a 2027 release date, unless maybe this will be for season 4. I honestly don't know. I couldn't say, and I don't like to speculate because they really haven't given us anything. Um, Galadriel Jones has talked a few times about how usually we have some sort of release date by now, and it's a little bit odd that they haven't given us one. So yeah, it could be that they're pushing it back, or it could be that they're just waiting to do all of their marketing at a particular time, and we have no idea. We're not going to know one way or the other until they tell us something. So yeah, I agree. If she's in France for the summer, that's very telling. And beyond that, I couldn't really say about Dead City seasons 3 and 4. So hopefully we'll know something soon, right? Soonish. But thank you for that. Okay, switching to Ask. All right, one of two. Mary Bethel says, "Hey there, loved your recent video. Thank you. You have the best way to soothe our TD hearts, so I'm glad. Sorry for bombarding you with these videos, but it honestly seems like something a bit crazy is going on. I'm sending you these because I want you to see it for yourself. Over the past month and a half, there's been a very noticeable and consistent push promoting Beth and Bethyl. Also, just so you know, these are only from 3 fan pages on Facebook. There are plenty of others I haven't even included, and I didn't even send you posts that included other characters besides Beth. Honestly, if this is what it looks like, and I'm not being totally nuts, this is huge. Okay, let's take a look here at some of these. Emily Kinney found out Beth was dying an episode before it happened, which, yeah, we kind of think that's crap, but still, they're doing an article about it. Emotionally drained a bit. This is all stuff that they have said before, but they're reposting articles, or I mean, they're probably new articles saying the same stuff. Emily Kinney answers if Beth and Daryl's relationship was turning romantic, and she says The Walking Dead was purposely vague about it. So yeah, I won't go through and read all of these, but just so that you can see that all of these are about them. And I agree. And me and my fellow theorists have talked about this quite a bit too, that there seems to be kind of a marketing push. I mean, we've always said over the years that they have always promoted Beth more than we would think if she really was dead in the show and not coming back. It seems like at least once a year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year, they'll do something big that she's involved in. And they have her involved and promoting her character more than any other deceased character on the show. So it's not that they don't promote other characters. Every once in a while, you'll see something about Andrea or Tyrese or something, but not very often. But they always constantly seem to want to keep her in the back of our minds and keep us remembering her in some way. So let's see. Did I get the second part? Yes. Okay. Okay. So these are more pictures. Let me click on these so they unblur. Gonna miss me so bad when I'm gone. The I Never game. This is saying she's going to be in Dead City. It will either be a dream of Maggie's or a flashback. And see, the interesting thing about this is because they're coming from fan accounts, I mean, on the one hand, we can't say for sure that they're coming from the powers that be because they are fan accounts. But at the same time, see, this is him giving the music box. That's super suspicious. At the same time, that almost makes me more suspicious because if this was just some random person who loved The Walking Dead and was running a fan account, why would they be doing all of this? She hasn't been on the show in a long time. And I can see a post here or there talking about Dead City and how she's going to be on Dead City because that was big news. It's, kind of the same as when Shane was in Rick's hallucination in 904. I mean, of course there was going to be posts about that, but this is so much more than that. Really kind of deep diving into everything around her arc, around Still and her and Daryl and Alone and Slabtown and Coda, and you know what I mean? Like it's so much more to me than just a fan account who decided to post something about Beth because they liked her character and her death was sad. So yeah, thank you for sending this in. And I haven't seen much of it myself because I haven't been on social media much, but I have been told by other people that they're noticing this too. So yeah, if that is any kind of encouragement to anybody, it does seem that there is a big push. And while they are fan accounts, I can't imagine a regular fan account doing this much for no reason. I do think that these are probably official account or not official accounts. They are accounts that are run by the powers that be or someone who works for them, but they are posing as fan accounts, probably. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me about this. So thank you, Mary Bethel, for sending those in. I really appreciate it. Do you happen to have a list or compilation of all the quotes that have been said about Beth or Bethyl over the years by various cast, crew, news outlets, official sources, etc.? I used to have a bunch saved, but somehow lost them over the years. Would mean a lot if you could share if you do. I don't think I have a compilation of them. I could create one from what I have of old posts, but it's not going to be exhaustive. I can promise you that. I'll tell you what, I'll try to create one, and if anybody has any that, you know, cast, crew, news outlets, official sources have said about Beth or Bethel over the years, send them to me, and I will create like a post that we can use as like a master post of what's been said. Like I said, I can go back through my old posts at the beginning of my account, and I will probably find some, but I doubt I have more than a dozen. If that, I don't know how many I will find, and I know a few of them off the top of my head, but and I can have my fellow theorists help me. But if anybody has any to send in, please do that, and we'll create something, and then that way we'll have it. Okay, so I will get back to you on that. Hi, this is just a fun little thing for us TDers. Emily is doing a TikTok live every Tuesday on an account called Jam in the Vans, and I happened to come across it on my feed. There were a lot of Walking Dead fans in the comments, of course, asking if she is Beth, and she joked that she's Emily and alive and well. A little while later, a fan commented again, "Is that you, Beth?" And Emily decided to write back saying yes. Then she responded again saying, "I didn't die in the zombie apocalypse after all." The fact that Emily leaned into it and joked about Beth being alive makes it even better. I'm so glad I caught that moment and just had to share it with the fandom, of course. I wonder if that was some type of fun Easter egg for all of us fans. Yeah, I did hear about this. A few people sent me this. So here's the comment. "I didn't die in the zombie apocalypse after all." She is the host, Jam in the Van. That's her comment at the bottom. I unfortunately didn't capture the first part of the conversation, but I'm glad I got the "I didn't die in the zombie apocalypse." Yeah, I'm glad you captured that too. That's super fun. And I mean, at this point, it's easy for her to say that, and nobody really thinks much of it except us. So yeah, it totally makes sense. And I'm glad. I have heard a little bit about her doing these sessions and that people are watching them and that she's getting a lot of comments from people who miss her on The Walking Dead. But I mean, this is just another way. I mean, yeah, I get totally that it's more about her music than her acting, but it's another way to be on social media and be seen and be in the spotlight. So I feel like even aside from the marketing that we just talked about and the push on the accounts, that she's doing a lot to be seen right now. She's been kind of quiet on her own social media, but she's doing a lot of events and things. So that too is suspicious to me. So thank you for sending that in. That is super fun. I love that. Hi, it's me again. I sent an ask the other day about the Jam in the Van live stream, but I forgot to mention something. People were asking Emily if she'd do more TikTok lives, and she said she'd love to. She also wrote in the live that she'll be in LA all of April and May. We know she's headed to France in June for the Comic-Con, and since she only stated that she would be in LA for the next month or so, I'm starting to think she might be in Europe longer than just for the convention. I wish I took more screenshots. Yeah, people have been speculating on that, and we'll have to watch and see if we can figure it out because she'll be there for the convention. And then, I mean, the thing is, we can't always tell where she is. She'll go quiet on social media, and if she posts anything, it'll be like a later gram, and she won't tag it with her location or her time or anything. So, then it's hard to know where she is. And obviously she does that on purpose so people won't know, or she's just really busy. But yeah, I mean, we're all going to be paying attention to see if she's only in France for, just the convention, or if after that she goes dark and seems to be there for a while, that's going to be a good indication that she's working. So yeah, for sure. And we will definitely be paying attention to that once we get to June. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens. All right. Oh, looks like this is talking about the same thing. So yeah, like I said, a few people were noticing this. Hi, Emily did a live a few days ago on Jam in the Van's TikTok. It was called Late Start with Emily Kinney. So basically she was listening to music submitted by small artists, and obviously people kept commenting Beth all the time. And at one point she said, "Yeah, I'm Beth from The Walking Dead. I didn't die for real, so we're just here to listen to music." But she seemed so pissed by it. Like, I get that it could be annoying because she's not just Beth and the event wasn't about her character, but it's strange to react like this, especially if Beth is close to coming back, or at least beyond Dead City in the alternate universe. I know it could be to mislead us, but she looked really pissed by it, and now I'm confused. I don't know. I didn't actually see it, so I couldn't really comment on whether she was pissed or not. It could be that it was stressing her out a little bit because we kind of know from the past that Emily is not the best liar, bless her heart. And it could be that she was frustrated, not because people were asking that, but because she didn't want to talk about The Walking Dead too much. So she was just trying to redirect them to the music. But I don't know. Other than that, I couldn't really say. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think, there's probably a reason for it. And more than anything, I'm still thinking that this is a hint toward her return. So I don't have a really great answer for that. I'm sorry that I don't. But yeah, that's about really all I could say because obviously we don't know what she was thinking or feeling in that moment. And it's probably stressful to do something like that. And maybe she was just, feeling the stress of the moment or something. Okay. There's rumors going around that season 4 of Daryl Dixon is going to bring Primrose plus wildfire virus and the CRM back in conjunction with the US government military being there. Any thoughts on this from the Okay, any thoughts on this from and TWD plot and Beth perspective? Given that they bothered to go out of their way to remind us, the general audience, of Dr. Jenner, the French scientist connection being the last ones he was aware of working before society and communication went down, it makes sense to me that there will be a deeper dive into that before they presumably return to the United States. Yeah, I mean, Galadriel Jones is much more the expert on the primrose and the wildfire virus and all of that. She's the one that's done most of the research on it. But we're kind of thinking along the same lines that you are. It definitely seems that, I mean, we know that there will be military just from spoiler leaks, right? And remember Diverged, that during that, Daryl was interacting with a lot of walkers that were dressed in military um, costumes, I guess, with uniforms. There's the word I'm looking for. And I don't feel like that's really been fulfilled yet. We talked about could Jeanette's, the French revolutionary soldiers that were with her, could that have been a fulfillment? Maybe, but these were very specifically like camouflage, the green and browns that the US military wears. So, hearing that there's going to be military in season 4, to me, that's probably the fulfillment of what we saw in Diverge. And we're going to be paying attention to that when season 4 rolls around. But yeah, so I do think that you could be right about this. Like I said, Galadriel Jones has had some thoughts about this, and it would make perfect sense in a way because we had the ones who live, and it seemed like they kind of wrapped up the CRM storyline. But I don't think I've said this before. I don't think that's the end of the CRM. I think it was either just a placeholder or it might have even been a little bit of a misdirection. And I will get to this in a couple of days. Part of the research I was telling you about when I was rewatching and deep diving, it had to do with Lizzie, but then it was connecting to Beth at Grady, and it started talking about organizations and institutions when I was plugging some things into AI, and it found some patterns that I'd never found before, and it was really interesting. And so let's just say I think part of what Beth will be doing when she comes back, whether she's with the CRM or has been with them in the past or whatever the case may be, I think that it's going to be a matter of maybe Team Family, including Rick and Michonne, are going, no, the CRM is a good organization. Like they weren't as good before. They were doing some bad things, but now they're good and we're their allies and all of that. And Beth is going to have to expose that there's still some not so good things going on under the surface. And her time at Grady, seeing what was going on behind the scenes and what it all meant and the type of leader Dawn was, prepared her for that. And so, with all of that in mind, I think Daryl Dixon season 4 being kind of like the linchpin that pulls us back into the CRM and back into the wildfire virus, and maybe finally gives us some answers about like the Coda to the world beyond, where you had the French scientists and one of them shot the other and they were talking about the wildfire virus. I mean, they were French. There's a lot of little teeny pieces and hints and shards of things that are floating around. And it would make sense to me if they used Daryl Dixon season 4 and whatever this interaction is with the US military to bring all of that together. And then after that, they will probably lead into the reunion show. At least that's what would make the most sense to me. So that's kind of what my thoughts on it are. I don't know about any of the details. Again, I just don't really care to speculate. I don't know enough about the wildfire virus because I haven't done the research. I've read through a lot of Galadriel Jones research and it's awesome. But I don't know exactly what they will say about the virus or the Dr. Jenner connection or anything like that. But I would love it if it all came back together in a big way and helped us to understand it. So I'm really looking forward to that and to whatever's going to happen with the U.S. military. I think it's going to be really nuts and that we're going to like it. So, I mean, in the sense that it will, give us a lot of hints toward Beth, and who knows, let's hope she actually shows up there. So thank you for sending that in. And yeah, we will definitely be paying attention to that moving forward. Okay. Hi. So many exciting things happening. Honestly, I have to pinch myself with we will be getting our girl back. Emily being back on set is honestly so iconic. This franchise needs that familiarity of the golden era to bring us back. Beth was in that golden era of Team Family. Praying she's back for good, and what everyone thinks will be an AU in Maggie's mind will because of reality when they actually find Beth alive. I was just curious, your take on a complete hypothetical, of course, Haha. But if Maggie were to find Beth alive, which we know she will, but if she were to find Beth alive with a partner and children, I'm just wondering how that would play out. If Beth found someone, had a little family, then bam, Beth is reunited with Maggie, who tells her Daryl is still with their group. Just wondering how you think that scenario would play out. The odds maybe being good that Beth would have had a baby or babies with someone else. Wondering if that would make for a rekindling with layered emotions of her wanting to be with Daryl, but still having obligations to her own family. How do you think that would play out? What do you think the odds are that Beth would have a spouse and children when Maggie finds her? How do you think Daryl would react? Kind of a gut punch, maybe. Haha, sorry, these are super random. Maybe hard to answer, but I'm just too excited to see our girl again. Love your channel and always love all the positive content you put into the world. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's sweet. Also, I think I accidentally asked this to a different random account, but maybe they will respond as well. Not the best example. Yeah, I think they did respond. I saw it, but I didn't read through the whole response. I meant to, and like I said, I got busy, so I haven't been able to. So I actually had a thought about this. I don't know. I don't know if I think that she will actually have children of her own. We do see a lot of baby symbolism and child symbolism around her, but I don't know. I've never gotten the vibe that would be like her biological children. I've always thought it would be more like Lou, who we saw in Daryl Dixon's season one, or was it two? I think it was one, that was like running the school for kids. I've always seen it more like that, like her picking up strays and misfits and orphans, especially because she talked about orphans to Michonne. But I mean, I could be wrong about that. I wouldn't be like opposed to her having her own child. What I can say about Daryl is that because it's her child, like if she did have a biological child, because it's her child, he would love it and protect it instantly. Like I don't think it would be much of a gut punch to him, honestly, because he hasn't seen her in 10 years and he's had relationships, and so it's like, well, of course she would have, it wouldn't be that shocking, I don't think, to him. But like I said, I'm just not sure that she would have a biological child. I think it would be more like adopted children that she's taking care of, and of course, like loves as her own children and everything. And then we also saw that even though it was an opposition and like an equal but opposite thing with Jocelyn, who was Michonne's friend who ended up being evil, and she had like this army of evil kids. I still saw that as like a Beth thing, although of course Jocelyn was evil and Beth won't be. That's what I mean. It's like it is a parallel, but it's like a foil. It's running the opposite, right? And those were all kids that she had taken in and taught. So I still think that they've just given us a lot of symbolic evidence that that's going to be the situation with Beth. But when I was rewatching, and dang it, I'm not going to remember off the top of my head, so I'm going to have to bring it up later. I had a thought that was right along these lines about whether Beth would have somebody like a partner. Dang it, I can't remember what made me think of it. I'm gonna have to go back and find my notes, so maybe I will come back and answer this in another video. But there was something in it that symbolically it created a scenario where and it must have been someone else on the show that it happened to that was from season four, and now I cannot remember what it was, but created a scenario where they were with someone, but it was very much not the most soulmate relationship, not necessarily abusive, but like, oh, like there was love more on one side than the other. And so I was thinking that, it kind of seemed like if that would be applied to Beth. And if it was, that does make me think that maybe she'll have a partner when she first shows up, but it will be a relationship isn't really working, or that, maybe the guy likes her more than she likes him, or you know what I mean? That it's just not going to be optimal. And if that's the case, then I think it'll run its course pretty quickly. Either that guy will get killed off, or they'll break up, or something, you know what I mean, which would pave the way for her and Daryl. So I'll have to look back at what my notes were for that. And I did think of, we've mentioned this, not necessarily in my videos. I can't remember if I mentioned it on my videos, but me and my fellow theorists, when we're talking, have talked about there was a random, I think it was a tweet back, and it was like back around season five. It was a long time ago that suggested that Ansel Elgort was going to be in The Walking Dead as a love interest for Beth. And mostly people freaked out about it, like people who were liked Bethyl and TD, because we obviously were going, what do you mean she's going to have a love interest? She and Daryl are supposed to be together. And then of course he never appeared on the show, so it might have just been a hoax or something that somebody posted, and it seems like it was. But we've wondered if maybe somewhere in the missing 17 days footage, or in whatever we see of her arc that happens after Coda, if maybe he actually will be in there somewhere. And they, hired him to play a part that just we haven't seen yet. Or maybe it won't be him at all, and maybe it was pretty much a hoax, but maybe they were hinting that there will be somebody. We'll see who will be a love interest for her, and they just threw a random actor in there, and it won't actually be him. We don't know. It's all speculation. So I think that there's a good chance she'll have a partner, but I don't think it'll be something that'll last very long. And I think she'll have kids, but with her, but I don't know that they will be hers biologically. But that, I mean, I could be wrong about. I mean, the point is we've seen a lot of baby and child symbolism around her, and especially her taking them in and teaching them the way Lou does, like teaching them to survive. So I'm really excited to see how it plays out, but I don't know the answer to that for sure. Nobody does. Um, but either way, I mean, I don't sit around worrying about it. I know that there are people who wanted both her and Daryl to be total monks and not be with anybody else until they found each other, but that's not terribly realistic. And I think either way, they're heading toward her and Daryl being together, so they will orchestrate it in a way that will work and that I think everybody will be fine with. So, yeah, that's my answer, and it's a really good question. So thanks for sending it in. Okay. I've been thinking, what if Emily's new album is actually timed to release around Dead City season 3? She'd said the album is basically done and just needs some editing, but also that she doesn't know when it's coming out, which feels a little suspicious to me. Yeah, me too. Like, is she waiting on something? And then I saw someone say the album will be called Bright Green Dot of Hope, which is very Beth. She also shared a snippet of an unreleased song from the album, which I'm drawing a blank on the name, but I know it involves colors and Valentine's Day of a guy she went on a date with that didn't give her any gifts. I think it was either called Red and Pink or Pink and White. It didn't really seem Beth related, but now I'm wondering if it was just one piece and other songs might connect more. What if some of the album actually ties into her return to Dead City in some way? I don't know if it could just be that some albums take a while to release, which is true, but it really feels like there could be something bigger going on here. Curious as to what you think. Yeah, I mean, I think along the same lines as you do. It was suspicious not only that she said it was going to be coming out Christmas of last year, and then it didn't and still hasn't, but also that around the same time is when they announced the end of the spin-offs and people started talking about Andy Lincoln revising his role as Rick. I feel like maybe originally they were going to have it come out at that time and not link it to anything, but when they, whatever happened, I think it was probably something legal behind the scenes that made them realize that they could push everything back into a reunion show now. Like maybe before they thought they had to wait another year or two, and then they realized they didn't for whatever reason. And so when they decided to do that, they just made a whole bunch of changes in the way they were doing things. They were going, okay, so now we're going to end the spinoffs. Now we're going to, get into talks with Andrew Lincoln because we're going to be doing the reunion show. Oh, and Emily's album is not coming out yet. We're going to time it later on. It just felt like all of those decisions were made around the same time. And that's super suspicious, right? So I think you could be right that they're timing it to release in some way. It's not out of the realm of possibility that it really could just be that something happened. If something happened on the back end that's delaying it, again, it's the same thing. It's either a legal issue or a copyright issue or just something came up that they didn't realize they're going to have to deal with, and now they have to deal with that first before they can release the album. I mean, things like this happen all the time. So it really could just be that. But because it was around the same time all these other announcements were coming out, it's really suspicious. So I do think that you're probably right that they are timing it to something, Dead City season 3 or something else. I don't know, with The Walking Dead, and we're just going to have to wait and see when it comes out and, what kind of push they give it in terms of marketing. I haven't researched the songs too much. Someone did tell me that it was called Bright Green Dot of Hope, which I agree is very, very Beth. The Valentine's Day one is interesting. And again, I haven't looked into this, so I can't say much about it. But you say she went on a date with someone that didn't give her any gifts. What that calls to mind for me is Daryl talking about never having gotten gifts from Santa Claus. And we've said before that, symbolically getting her back might be his gift from Santa Claus, especially because the legend of Saint Nick includes him resurrecting people. So, yeah, I think you could be right that either certain songs on the album could be related to The Walking Dead or influenced by it, or maybe all of them are and they all connect in some way. But again, it's conjecture until we get the album. We couldn't say for sure. But that's super interesting. So thanks for sending that in. I'm going to be really interested to see how it all plays out when it comes out, what's going on with the TWD universe when it does and what the songs are. So just another thing we're waiting around for, twiddling our thumbs and hoping it comes out soon. All right, this is the last ask I have for right now. I think I watched all your videos and I was just wondering if you would consider doing an episode analysis of Still and Alone. It would be fun to do a deep dive of them from your perspective to keep us going during the slow season. If you have time, of course, hope all is well for you. I will do that. I probably will not do that in this batch of videos because I haven't done all the preparation for it. But yeah, because I rewatched season 4, so I can do that. Just give me 2 or 3 weeks, and I can probably. What I'm going to do the next 2 episodes or 3 episodes-ish, I'm just going to give you my notes for what I found in those deep dives. And I've got some, I want to do some of them from the first half of season 4 first, and then I can get into that. So I will do that. Just let me come back to it. Okay. All right, so we are running kind of long here, and I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for all of your comments and your asks. Feel free to keep sending them in, and I will be back in a few days with one of my deep dive videos.